All this GXCC racing action is powered by Black Iron and brought to you by their associate sponsors. It's GXCC racing time once again. Last week's show, we highlighted all of the quad and junior classes. This week, we're focusing on the big bangers. That is all of the pro motorcycle categories. Very busy gates and new champions looking to be crowned in 2020. This is what went down at Bronkhorstspruit. The motorcycle categories, we're going to keep things nice and busy. Now going out on the combined loop, made up of the quad 35k loop and the juniors 15k. We caught up with Vian to talk about the day.
Quad loop and the junior loop have been combined to give them a nice long 47-kilometer loop. A little bit more muddy and twisty for the seniors on the quad loop out. Junior loop is just nice, tight and flowing. I'm sure they're going to have a good time out there. It's got some big names here today, we've seen from the lineup. So can't wait to see who comes out on top.
I'm going to try my hardest, and I think I have the potential to do it, and I work hard for it. So I'm going to make it happen this year.
I hope to expect the same this year with all the competition. It's very nice to have competition. I also didn't have a very good race season last year. My bike kept breaking down, switching bikes, so this year I'm riding the Motor Pro. So I've got big expectations for this bike and see how it goes.
I like the whole shot because of MX, and I know that we used to whole shots and stuff, so I enjoy getting the whole shot a lot.
Megan's good off the line, but on the day, it was Mandy Pretorius that got the cheese and was going to be heading out front. It was not going to be the Peterson sisters show, certainly not in the early laps. Jonka fired herself out. Pretorius went for the chicken run. Colin Neighbour almost went farming early on, but stayed in it to win it, as all ladies made it out onto the track. Jonka started to pull a gap early on, with Karika and Yanka doing the chase down. Whilst fighting for the lead, Yanka unfortunately suffered a mechanical gremlin, forcing her down to a number 5 finish. Colin Neighbour did a great job, and we've seen solid improvements on her to get a number 4. The whole shot queen, Mandy Pretorius, walked away with a 3rd place, getting straight onto the box, rocking under the new Black Iron colours for 2020. 3rd place is a great start to her championship chase. Karika was rock solid as always, walking away with a number 2 spot, trying to chase down on the motocross pinner out front. Megan Jonka was on point. Even though she threw it down once or twice, she was still the lady to beat. And she walks away with her first ever Ladies Pro GXCC win at round number 1 of the 2020 series.
It was a very good day. It started well. Jonka passed me in the start, but we had a good battle, passing each other the whole time till the bike broke. But that's racing, and it's a good start. Track was nice, like motocross almost, with all the bumps, but it was very good.
Even though she suffered her mechanical issues, Yanka Peterson still scored a number 5. Colin Neighbour rock solid in number 4. Mandy Pretorius on the box in 3rd, Karika 2nd, and Jonka on the top step. Next up would be our Masters Gate, with almost 20 of the fastest old dudes out there. But this year, there was going to be stiff competition. It wasn't just going to be a 2-horse race.
You know what we old guys do in the master class? We practice as we race.
30 years of racing 2-strokes. We're 50 years old of age now, and we're just loving it. You know, everyone says, when are we going to go to 4-strokes? That's for lazy people, man. You know me, we ride hard, we have fun, but that's the good thing about our sport. But as long as we're having fun and enjoying it, we'll just keep going on. As long as we can swing our leg over the bike, we'll do it, eh?
flag drop for the Masters, and once again it was 300cc two-stroke power that saw Wayne Farmer hit the front and stay well out the way of the dust. Not a great drop off the line, as we saw Peter Hall down inside of a top 5, but he would chase himself up the queue and get into the mix nice and early. When we got out on track though, the top 10 went to S1 Hall on the 822. He did a good enough job to make it into the first half of the 20-strong Masters lineup. Rassie Fenter was up the road as well on the 302, and Hannes Rudman, now rocking on the Van Husqvarna, did a great job inside of a top 8. Johan Bosch was just up the road, chasing down a number 7. Remember, it's top 6 that make the big podiums and start gathering the big points, try and chase down championships. The big guy out of CIT, Husqvarna, Harry Krobler, had the big motocross elbows up, and he chased his way inside of that top 6 to be the first rider to taste the podium. Ernst Slabbert, who has been on the box the last couple of seasons, rocked his way once again inside the top 5 to be one of the most consistent riders out there. Marty Poole, who can turn his skills to flat out or rocks, walked his way up into the top 4. Third was a new slimline version of Justin Brown.
I see there's some new guys. Justin Brockman is back, so that will make it very exciting. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward for it.
Peter Hall up into the number 2 spot, one of the few riders that can make riding a 500 look so easy. He saved rubber on the front wheel by just grabbing a handful the whole way through the day. Second was a good start, but he was nowhere near the back wheel of Wayne Farmer this time around. Lap on lap, Farmer was stretching things out. He had clear air until he got into the lappers, but he wasn't worried about that. He started off his GXCC campaign as he ended in 2019 as a flat-out winner.
Yeah, Loud was good. It was just left, right the whole way, choppy bumps. So it was pretty cool. So it worked you the whole time. But the marking was superb. Really, it was. The guys went overboard, which is good. You know what I'm saying? You want to rather mark properly and a little bit extra. You know, we put our lives in the organisers' hands at the end of the day to make it safe. And yeah, no, that was really good.
Confirmation of results then. Ernst Slabbert makes his way inside of the top 5, chasing down on Pooley. Broughton, I think, has got more to give. Third place was good enough this time behind Hall and Farmer. Next up would be the seniors gates, and this is always a tough one to call.
I definitely think I have the speed, but yeah, the consistency just lacking a bit of that. So if I can pick that up a bit and just keep it smooth for the year, that's the plan. Well, you know, in the GXCCs, Bruce is always there. You know, you can never count him out. Kobus Jonk, so the guys are dark horses.
Mr. Blau is on point. I mean, he's really, really shining. It's going to be an absolute battle to get out there. Kobus Jonk, don't underestimate him. He's also always just there. You know, so that to get a top 3 spot, you really have to put the work in.
Well, you know, last year I couldn't hole shot once. Bruce got me every time, so I'm really hoping that's my goal for this year. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
On the gate, once again, it was Big Red, Bruce Villion on the 44, but with Wade right on his elbow as they headed out once again. Lather, rinse, repeat, as they did at the end of 2019. But Bruce went wrong at the end of the hole shot queue, which dropped him out of the lead and way down into the pack. And whilst on the comeback, actually popped his bike, so it would be no score for him. In the early laps, Jan Vermeulen was rocking inside of the top 5, eventually finishing a number 10 off the gate. Bo Levy, also a rider who has lost a ton of weight and worked on his training program, got himself into a number 9 spot on the day. Up the road from him was one of the stalwarts of the GXCC Tour, Werner Swanepoel, hanging on to the 675, only just to squeak his way inside the top 8. Zach De Silva, more famous for rocking out on the enduro courses around the country, swung a leg and came racing just off the box in a number 7 position. Valdi van der Merwe, who has been on the gate for the last couple of seasons, racing around the country with us on the GXCC Tour, walked away with the first of the coveted podium positions in a number 6, and up the road was Marco Cocci, one of the cool dudes out there. He's been rocking and racing with us for years and years, always with a big smile on his face, and he deservedly walked away with a rock-solid number 5. Yanni Potgieter caught a lot of people napping this time around. His fitness definitely coming into play, and some box-fresh kit delivering him all the way up to the 4th step on the podium. The Viking swung a leg over the 300cc Smoker, an interesting choice for a big guy, but he walked away with a 3rd place finish and is definitely going to be a championship threat come the end of this season. 2nd place was a great story. The Milan clan did a great job at Bronkhorstspruit. Son Derek walked away with a win on the 50cc gate. Dad DJ got a number 2 spot on the seniors. But it was Wade Blau, the reigning national senior off-road champion, that walked away with clear air this time around, and he is going to be tough to beat if he stays fit and consistent. He is going to be the man once again in 2020.
It's the way definitely the way you want to start the year, but yeah, racing's a funny thing, you know. You never know what's going to happen race to race, so you just got to plug away and let's see what happens. Marking was perfect. There were one or two little accidents, but nothing to do with the route direction or anybody working on the route. They did a fantastic job, and thanks to these guys, they did a really good job.
Big name missing here was Bruce Viljoen, the GXCC reigning champion. He's got a lot of work to do to catch up on Blau, Milan, and Jonk. They ran the top threes this time around. Join us after the break, where we focus in on the high school and OR3 gates. Back to Bronkhorstspruit then, and our next point of focus was going to be the high school gate with a new champion to be crowned in 2020.
I've been training very hard this December. Feeling really comfortable on the bike. Everything's set up perfectly now and looking forward to this race.
The track looks nice, twisty, also a few fast sections. Just going to hope that the dust stays down for us, but otherwise all good.
Just really going to try to get my best to get that roll shot, get out of the dust.
Definitely do want the whole shot with the dust, but we'll see how it goes.
Everyone wanted clear air this time around. It was Johnson that fired it out. Wilson almost wobbled his way off, and he would have to really recoup and recover from that one. Mackenzie saw the early lead with Buerta, a bit of a brand new threat this time coming out of the CIT squad. Out on track though, it was Oliver Major that walked away with a number 10 spot, chasing down on Carl Mackenzie. Mackenzie actually had to bow out around about the half race distance with a major mechanical, but still scored enough points to get number 9, and that may well pay dividends towards the end of the season. Bernard Hoffman has been doing a great job polishing his blade and getting faster and faster on the stacked high school gate to get himself a number 8 ride. Sean Free was a little bit further up, one of the kids making the move, and this is such a hard transition out of the 85 seniors onto the 125. Sometimes there's a tall kid, sometimes there's a little dude that makes the big move up. Jean-Dre van der Merwe has been on the Yamahas for a couple of seasons, so he's familiar with his machinery and walked away with the first of the podium positions with a rock-solid number 6. Kevin Gears was giving it gears the whole way through the day and could take the big brag of walking away with a number 5 spot. It was tough conditions and very tight competition the whole way through the high school gate. Dylan Jonker, the massive talent pool that comes out of the Jonker family, he has tasted podiums before in the 2019 tour as well and started off well with a number 4 finish. Josh Johnson, even though he was fighting hard in the early stages for the overall win, looked like he had some late race fade, eventually dropping down to 3rd place, but still now a big threat for the championship as we stare down the barrel of 7 more rounds. John Buerta came out of nowhere, signed up with one of the factory squads and walks away with an incredible and impressive number 2 finish at his first GXCC of 2020. Coming into the season, there was one name everyone was speaking about for the high school gate, and that was Matty Wilson. He didn't let the pressure get to him. He got out front and delivered the goods. He is going to be the high school 125 rider to beat as we move forward with the tour.
Start wasn't the greatest start I've ever had, but almost crashed with Joshua Johnson. But otherwise, had a good start. Got to about 5th corner, took a bit of a tumble. But otherwise, got up, got going, caught up to my good mates Josh and Carl again. Passed them and just put the hammer down and carried on from there.
Confirmation then of the guys to watch out for. Definitely Wilson is going to be a championship threat, but John Buerta has come out of nowhere. Johnson's been on the 125s a couple of seasons. 3rd place was no big surprise, but it is going to be an interesting rest of the season. Next up was going to be a jump-up category. A lot of the high schoolers from last year jumped up into OR3.
Most of the people have moved up, so it's going to be a tough year, especially Brad Cox, Nardis Rabi, everyone's going to be out there. It was very tough, but I hope I've got used to the bike. I'll just see how it goes today.
The OR3s with so much new talent on the gate, this was going to be anyone's guess. Whole shot was definitely going to be important. Björn Fensel came swinging hard, but Brad Cox just leaned on him as hard as he possibly could to try and chase his way into the whole shot. The KTM man saw clear air. He had Devin Smith, Björn Fensel along with him in the early stages, as well as Storm Viljoen. This is how the top 10 broke down. Sven Pretorius rocked his way on the Raceworks KTM up to a number 10. Brad Cox, even though he scored down in 9th, had to retire early on. He crashed and broke off his clutch mounting. That was the end of his day. Björn Wenzel also tasted the dirt at Bronkhorstspruit whilst running inside the top 5 and would eventually have to retire with a small fracture to the wrist, but he'll be back. Dav Kocker was also an early retirement. Even though he scored a number 7, it could well have been a win. Illness and fatigue forcing him to the sidelines this time around. For the first of the podium placings that coveted top 6, it was Gian Hall that rocked his way through as well. This gate seemed to suffer a high attrition rate with a lot of championship and key players fading out. Warren Pretorius was another one of those riders, but he managed to push his race a little bit longer than the rest before he parked it on the sidelines. 5th place to Pretorius, who has taken a win at last season's GXCC, so he knows how to get the job done. Storm Viljoen, another one of the high schoolers that made the move up into the OR3s, and he's still finding his feet on the 4-stroker. 4th place was a good ride for him. His good buddy and championship rival, Nardis Robbie, almost creamed out our cameraman, but was the first of the top 3 steps, taking his Roost KTM all the way to a 3rd place ride. Peter Karam, who was the man to beat on the 2019 tour, has definitely got his hands full, but he didn't crack under the pressure and brought home a rock-solid number 2 spot to try and set up the defense of his title. And then this was a massive story. Almost an unknown rider, Devon Smith, picked up one of the deals with Vans Racing and now walked away with his first ever GXCC win at the first time of asking. A massive talent has arrived.
The first time ever here is just a great feeling, you know. It's a lot of kilometers, so yeah, you must just ride it and give it your all.
Confirmation of the crazy results then from the first gate of the OR3s. Dev Smith is the man to beat, reigning champion Karam in the number 2 spot, with Robbie, Viljoen and Pretorius doing the chase down. Join us after the break for the OR2s and the big banger, OR1s. Welcome back to Bronkhorstspruit and the opening round of the GXCC Championship for 2020. We now go into our final 2 gates, starting out with the OR2s, one of the most competitive categories on the tour.
It's a new year, everything's new. Got sorted out with a new bike with Fast and KTM South Africa that I'm very happy with. So it's sad that JJ, I'm calling him out. He must come race at least 1 or 2 of these races. But I think it's going to be a good race. Taki is definitely going to be on it.
So it's been really tough. I mean, yes, we've been through the wars. I picked up my first factory ride in 2018, racing for Husqvarna, and it was a dream come true. And ending off the season, I ended up crashing and breaking my back. And that, when your dream comes true and everything just falls apart like that, some days you wonder. And I had amazing backing. The guys came on board immediately after the crash. While I was lying in hospital, the team said they'd still support me. So I'm very fortunate in that respect.
Yeah, so it's a little bit dusty, not too bad, but the whole shot is going to be, it's always an important thing with the GXCCs.
No JJ this time, so everyone was going for it. It was a new guy. Leon Goos came out of absolutely nowhere on the smoker and fired his way off the gate, but it was short-lived as the rest of the key players started to charge, muscle, and pin their way to the front. Eventually, Leon Goos walked away with a number 9 finish. That's not a bad run, and one of the highest placing smokers out there. Gert Davis did a nice ride of it as well to just squeak his way inside of a top 8 as they started to chase their way through the traffic. Brendan Furry was coming in with a bit of an injured foot, and we would have expected to see him run inside of the top 4. 7th place with a bit of a spaghetti ankle was still a good ride. The surfer dude now with shorter hair. He says it saves him about 2 seconds a lap. Marcel Meyer charged his way up onto the podium and was the first of those positions, tagging a number 6. John Vilken, who did his shakedown season last year in the Pro-Ams, walked away with a top 5, and then his good buddy Francois de Greef, who's been out of action for the National Championship Tour for about the last 4 or 5 seasons, came back swinging with the top 4. Another of the many new signings in the off-season for Black Iron Racing. Looking as fast and smooth as he used to before the big injury, Taki was back, banging bars and getting himself up there for a rock-solid 3rd place, a very nice platform to build on for the rest of the season. The reigning champ came into this round expected to win, but the brawler, Ian Rawle, had to settle for a number 2 spot. There is a new threat on the horizon in 2020. Jason Fenter was a man possessed at the opening round. He has definitely changed his riding style and his off-season approach. The head was good, the bike was good, and the rider was unstoppable. Fenter walks away with his first ever GXCC number 1 and is the championship leader going into round 2.
Look, I got off to a decent start this morning. and I managed to maintain my pace, keep it flowing, ride my style, and paid off. I enjoyed the flowing sections, and that's definitely where I made up time. I was also testing out new suspension, and that also helped me out big time in the corners.
As always, the OR2s is going to be the gate to watch. Venter takes the first win, Brawler is going to come back swinging, Tucky's in good shape, and De Grief and Vulcan join the party. Next up was going to be the big bangers, the OR1s, and we caught up with the reigning champ.
I was a bit worried that some of the OR2 and OR3 riders were going to move up, but I see they're still in their classes, so thankful that the Brawler is still in OR2, to be honest. But yeah, we've got a lot of competition this year, and obviously everyone's out to get me, and it's great to see my mate JC Nienaber back, after his injury, so I'm glad to be banging bars with him.
I'm pretty excited for this year. I'm riding under some new colors. Still have for Horsham motorcycles, but with Spherical Logistics being our main sponsor. I'm still in the big bangers and hoping to get that podium step today.
Elbows up, everyone wanted the cheese, and it was the comeback kid, Tyron Miller, out of the racing fold for well over 5 seasons, back onto the big 500, out front and simply gone. The only man that ran with him in the early stages was going to be Sharon Moore and Mikey Pentecost. This was going to be a nail-biter of a race, with at least 10 riders able to take the win. A 20-rider strong lineup, meaning top 10 halfway marker was always going to be a big brag. Rhino Bierkus rocked his way up the road. John Kerr de Lange, who we have seen run inside the top 5 before, only made his way inside the top 9. Then it was Brendan Rush, who was switched across from a 350 now onto a 300 smoker and takes his first season lineup in the OR1s. Hein van Niekerk Jr. moves across brands as well. Last season was the big 500 Husky. This season, he is on the KTM 500, one of the few riders who can tame the beast. Rowan Smith also changing machinery in the off-season. A couple of years on the purple bikes, or the dark blues at least. The Sherkos now onto the KTM. Ruan Potgieter, another big podium threat, one of the most consistent riders out of 2019, makes it up the road inside of a top 5. Dart was going to be next in a top 4. He was in for a big fight.
After winning my second GXCC R1 championship, Black Guy or Vian called me up and Dieter had a meeting with him, and just so happy to be a part of the team, and really looking forward to this year's season. Can't thank them enough for their help, but also can't thank enough my previous sponsors from last year who've come on board to help me again this year.
The big surprise package this round was Feyenoord Delport. He has been on the cusp of greatness this time around, charged his way on the CIT Husky up inside of a top 3. Mikey Pentecost looked like he had the win wrapped up, but cooked his brakes and had to survive for 3 laps with absolutely zero stopping power. That was an amazing ride, but not as good as Tyron Miller. He pulled the whole shot, diced it out the whole way through the race with Pentecost and Delport, and brought the big 500 KTM to the flag.
You know what, first race back in quite some time now. Had a good day. Came out with a win, very, very good. The track was very dusty first lap. I didn't expect the Oaks to come flying past like that. Just not used to it. But once the track started opening up a bit, started having fun, getting into the flow of it, that 500 was an animal to hang into today. So yeah, it's just a lot of getting used to everything again. So, but the track was marked well, very cool. And I'd just like to thank all the organisers that did a good job here today, all the riders. Thanks for everything, yeah, very cool.
So here we go, the Big Bangers has a new name on top and everyone chasing him down. Miller, Pentecost and Delport with your reigning champion Lobjoy in a number 4 ahead of Potgieter. So that's the end of all of our highlights from round number 1 of the GXCCs. Powered by Black Iron, Bronkhorstspruit was an absolutely stellar venue. Now we get ready for 7 more rounds of racing action. Stay tuned. This GXCC racing action was powered by Black Iron and brought to you by their associate sponsors.